We celebrate Purim because it was a salvation, rescue from a threat of annihilation. Right? But we also had another episode, and that was Passover, where we were under danger of annihilation when we were trapped between the oncoming Egyptian army and the sea. Right? And in Passover there was a miracle. Right? God split the sea and we went through. Okay, that was a miraculous salvation. There's nothing miraculous about Purim. Right? What happens in Purim is the king has a prime minister who's an anti-Semite. Right? There is somebody in the king's court who is a prominent Jew. This prominent Jew has a niece who is chosen as the queen. Oh, first of all, something happens that the king got drunk, and in his drunken fury had his queen executed. Right? I imagine that a couple of people in shul the next day were talking about, hey, do you hear what happened in the palace? King got drunk, had his queen executed. I said, oh, don't bother me with that. You know what, I'm not interested in that. This is part of the miracle. Right? And he's dismissing it as that doesn't apply to me. Right? Okay, then Esther is chosen as the queen, and she doesn't tell who she is, doesn't tell her source. And then Mordecai the Jew overhears a palace intrigue to assassinate the king. Well, there's also a lot of times that there are palace intrigues. Right? Mordecai overhears this, right, and it's recorded. Nothing miraculous about it. Right? The king can't sleep. Right? They read him the Chronicles, and he realizes he never rewarded Mordecai for it. Right? Nothing happened there that was miracle. It was not the Red Sea being split. Right? But what it did show is that God was manipulating things in order to bring about our salvation. Right? And the beauty of Purim is it's the handiwork of God in nature, not in miracles. Right? And I think that points out something that people don't often think about, and that is the natural miracles that occur before our eyes every day. I have a doctor friend who's a world authority on infertility. He's not a particularly observant person, a Jewish person, but he's not observant. And he said to me, I was looking at the microscope, looking through the microscope at a fertilized ovum, a single cell. And I realized that from here on in, all that cell is going to get is carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, and oxygen. And out of those elements, that cell is going to build a human being that can write the symphonies of Beethoven, that can write the plays of Shakespeare, that can write the philosophy of Aristotle and Socrates. Right? 100 billion cells multiply interconnected, a liver, a kidney, whatever. At that point, I realized there has to be a God. Right? Now, what happens is nature is all around us full of miracles, right? But we don't realize it. And what we take from Purim is an example. Right? It was a salvation, right? And we celebrate it as a miracle that happened in nature. And it should serve as a model for us that to realize miracles are always happening in nature. It's just that we don't recognize it.